How's it going? So I'm going to explain autocomplete core properties so you can understand how the component works, right? So the first one is called options, right? So options, I'll show you something. So this is what it looks like. Now, why is it displaying this mumbo jumbo? And that's because label isn't here. So as you can see, it takes array as an input. So let's do const my options equals, so it's an array, and let's do name one blah option 2 yo. Okay, so let's copy this. You will see that it's not going to work, and the reason for that is because there is no, it's going to crash basically. So you see it's crashing. Why? Because there's no label key. So this has to be labeled. One of them has to be labeled. It doesn't have to be specifically the first one, but the object must have a label. So once it have a label, you can see that it's going to display. You see? It's going to display whatever is the label. So that's going to be your options. Okay, so I'm going to pause. Okay, so the next we're going to talk about is going to be called, let's probably move this here, because the rest is going to probably stay the same. Okay, so let's say we have no control over changing the object, and this is name one. So how do we get it into the component? And the reason for that, the next one is called get option label. Now this is a function. So option, let me just move this a bit. Hold on a sec. Let me just. Okay. So this option, I'm gonna console log it. Option, and then return option. Now this is not going to work because, okay. So let's first break down what are we doing in here. Okay, so every option is gonna be an iteration of the array, right? So we know that this option is the iteration. So now we want to have label as name one. So what we do is we do option dot name one, and now this assigns name one as an option. So do you see? Now it's going to work. Okay. You see blah 1, blah, blah, blah 0, blah 1. Now let's say we want option 2 to be the label. So we do option 2, like this. So now you will see that it's going to, whoopsie. So you see now it's displaying whatever the keys yo and yo1. So whatever key, so this is basically designed so that you can assign the drop-down option to be anything from the object as long as the key is repetitive, right? As long as the key exists. So let's say option, what can happen if we do this? I think it will have only one option in that case. It might crash actually. Yeah, you see it cannot display the other one. Because in this iteration there is no key to match the label, which is coming from here. Okay, so this is a get option label. Oh, whoops, I forgot to say that this is what I'm explaining. I'm gonna link this in the description below so you can see it. And also, this is where I got the starting code from here. Okay, so the next one we're explaining is called filter options. Alright, so filter options takes the same array, well, by type it takes the same array as options, but it does not have to be the same in values. My options too. Right, so the type must have, so you see the type right now is the same, but we can change this to, let's say, 3, but the big caveat, or whatever it's called, is that the key that's assigned in here has to be present. So there has to be at least one that matches the option key. Otherwise, the whole thing is probably going to fail. Hardcore. Okay, so now we can put this as any value 1, and then any value 2. So now you will see that we are getting, yeah, so you see it's complaining about the type. Type is not matching. So in that case you can do as any, and then it's going to work like this. Whoops. Filter options is not a function. Hold on a second, let me just think, why is it not? Why is it not working? Oh, yeah. That's because it has to be a function. It has to be like this. Yeah. Now it's going to work, I think. Yeah, you see? So now we have filter options are completely different to original options, but they have to have the same key. Remember, this is very, very important. I wonder what's in the arguments. One sec, let me just see what's inside of these args. I bet you it's gonna be options, right? Let's just console log this. Args, and let's see what's inside the args. No, nothing happens. Ah. Okay, so this in here is actually the options array. Yeah. So you see in here we have original options array. So this function has an argument which is original options, which is basically, it has this. So you can, in theory, you can replace stuff because the name of the key is the same. You can kind of like do, you can iterate. Yeah, you can iterate in here and then you can replace. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let me just hold on a sec. Let me pause. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah. That's exactly what I predicted. It's gonna be options, right? So in theory, you can just do in theory, you don't really even need this part. You can technically do everything in here. Just spread options, map it, or for each it. Yeah. But, okay, fine. So this is filter options. Okay, so next one is gonna be value. So we're gonna be explaining that. Okay, so let me just pause 1 sec. Okay, so value is pretty much exactly the same. Do you know when you do like React inputs? So let's do const. Actually, I think I have it on a keystroke already. Input, I think I would have. Yeah. Okay, so let's do. Alright, so value by itself is technically not really going to work, because you need an on change with it. So we're gonna cover probably value and on change at the same time, because it's too difficult to understand. And on change is very, very similar, right, to it's very, very similar to standard, like the way you have value, then you have on change, set input. The only difference is that we're not setting to target value, we're setting to second argument, which is new value, and new value is gonna be whatever option you're going to pick. So remember, we have two sets of options. We have either the original options, or we have the whatever is being displayed, right? So filter options, right? So right now filter options overrides the original options. Well, let's call this original options. Original options, right? So just bear in mind that when you're selecting the value, right? When you're selecting the value, it will select this, not this. Basically, whatever is being in the drop down is what's gonna get selected. So what is it complaining about right now? It's complaining that it's a... Oh yeah, so again the type is not matching, you see. So it will complain a lot about type, so you need to kind of get used to it a little bit. Fixing this stuff. Oh, so we have options already, so let me just comment this out. Okay, so let us just real quick do input and input. So we can see what's happening to the input when you're changing it. So let's ask. Alright, so at the moment it's gonna be null. Okay, so now we have nothing, right, in it. So when we select, do you see what's being selected? This is coming from filter options, not options. Do you remember? Because we have two sets of... So it's selected this one, here. Any value, right? So now... And also remember that it selects the whole thing, not just the... It doesn't, like, it selects the whole object, not just the label. Because normally in inputs, when you select it, it just selects the string, and then it puts it in here, and it outputs the string. But in Material UI Autocomplete, it's going to select the entire object. So look, second one is going to be any value, yo, well, let's put it as 2, yo2, so you will see that when we select this option here, which is the second one, this value changes to this object. Again, remember, it's not going to be the string. It's going to be the whole object. Okay. Look. So it's blank. And then, boom. You see the entire object has been selected. So, the yellow errors are on purpose. So, we're going to get rid of them in a second. Yeah, so let's do that. I'll show you why they're there. Now, essentially, that's kind of the most important parts of it. So let's just talk about the other thing, which is... Alright, so the next one is called is option equal to value, which is a function. Now, the reason why you are getting these yellow errors is because every time you select something, remember, we have two sets of options. Again, I'll go through it, right? Original options and then filtered options. Every time you select, it compares this object to this object. And if it's false, if they're not equal, it will give you the yellow warning, right? So it notifies you that the options that you're selecting do not match. Alright? So this is the control mechanism specifically for the warning. Okay? So this is a function that takes two arguments. So this is going to be original options. Okay, so this is going to be whatever you put into the options. Well, let me just call it options array. So you don't get confused, right? Options array. So this options array is going to be equal to whatever is you're putting into here. And then value is going to be equal to whatever you are selecting from the drop down. Let me just console log them so you will see. Like this, and then what's your value? Like this. Now, if you just want to shut down the notifications, just put in true. So that every time you do anything, it returns true. So you will get 0 notifications. Because this is the control mechanism for the comparing function. By default it compares, but since you defined the function, default has been overwritten to return true for everything. So now you will get 0 console logs. Let me just put this separator so you'll be able to see, because I have a strict mode running, that's why you get bazillion re-renders in there. Okay. What is the complaint manager? Get option label method. One second. Okay, I fixed it, so I was complaining about this returning undefined, basically. That's what I was complaining about. Yeah, so you see you're getting these errors. That's because get label options has not triggered yet, I believe, right? So you see, like, you need to assign a default value, I suppose. Like this. And it's going to work, I think, right? I should remove the errors now. So we're waiting for it to stop trolling. It's just when I record, sometimes this happens. I don't know, it just happens on Ubuntu. I don't know why. But let me just pause until this finishes. 1 second. Okay, I'll cover that later. I will cover this error there. Right. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, so value and options. So you can see that all the errors are now gone. And it's working as expected. You see, so options array is going to pick the first value that's in the options, right? So which is going to be here. And then value is empty because we have not picked anything yet. Man, god damn it, like this is so annoying. Again, it's crashing. It's because, like, you see, like, I can't move around this stuff all the time so quickly. Otherwise, it's just crashing. Okay, so as soon as we pick something, boom. So you see, options array and value correspond to the index. Okay, so look, if I select option 2, 1 second, let me just slowly move this in here. Okay, so this will be blah 1, and this will be blah 2, I think, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is option array. So let's pick the first one, right? Okay, so now they match. What if I pick the second one? Okay, so option 1 is still the same. But option 2 has changed, right? Okay, so it's not following the index. 1 second, let me just make a change. Okay, I've read a little bit on this. Is option equal to value? So this thing it's just giving you basically the first option, which is this one here. And then value is the one you select. Very, very strange stuff. I added a couple more options just to see. Okay, so let's see. So this is the options array. So now it's changed to... Okay, so when there is nothing in it, it just displays the first option from the actual options, right? When I drop down, it changes to... Okay, so, and let's have a look at the value. So it's not indexing, right, at all. Let me just think about it for a second. 1 second. Okay, so I read online, and it's not worth trying to figure out. Basically, this is a bug because it should be indexing, in my opinion. Because most people say, okay, because that's logically what it should be doing. Every time you select the value, it should index the option and say, okay, is value um, option index 3 equal to value selected 3, but it's not. It's always defaulting to the first one, right? So just ignore this. Is basically bugged at this stage. So the only thing you can do with this is just compare the keys, I suppose. Outside of that, it's a total waste of time. Just to disable the warning, just put true for everything, and then the warning is going to disappear. And that's about it. Okay, so the final one is get option label returned this error here. So this error happens if you... I'll show you why this error happens. Yeah, so you see they recommend to put as null original value. So if you put it as some kind of value, this thing here, one sec. Okay, yeah, so just set it to true, and that's it. That's gonna be... Alright, yeah, so we're doing this one here. So if you set this to a value, you have to set here a default value. Otherwise, you're gonna get a lot of errors. You should... Yeah, you see you're getting the error, because by default, it renders a value. So you have to have this, have the same value. And then the errors are going to disappear. But I mean, the best way, honestly, to fix it is to just put null in here. And that's about it. Like so. Well, let's see. Okay, so... Oh, it's stuck again. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. I think my Google Chrome is gonna crash, so take care, bye-bye.